just more and more smoke, leading to the fire that is Keegan Bradley being on this team as a player.
Yeah, I think we're all expecting it at this point. And, nice. Keegan, he knows he can't play poorly in the playoffs. Like, he knows he needs to keep momentum going. And if he continues to play well, he's going to be on this team.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Yes.
Christopher Sanchez of the Philadelphia Phillies is one of 3 Major League Baseball pitchers to have a 7-start span featuring an undefeated record, a sub-1.5 ERA, 50 or more innings pitched, 50 or more strikeouts, fewer than 5 walks, no more than 1 home run allowed.
Fantasy sports today, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live.
What was the over-under?
Your ultimate second screen experience.
Hey, Pat. Every
prop, every play.
I really don't share your same passion about the Brewers game as your constant, your second-by-second play-by-play here.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
One big problem for NBC, too many on-air cooks for the coverage, particularly on the weekends. Having 4 on-air teams separate time, divide the time, was really outrageous. You had Mike Tirico and his partner. You had Dan Hicks, NBC Sports' lead golf commentator, and his partner. You had Steve Sampson, Golf Channel, and his partner. And you had Terry Gann, who, by the way, if you don't know, is going to become an NBA play-by-play voice.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
And welcome in. It is in-game live game day here on the grid. Scott and Gabe, hour number 1 of our 2-hour extravaganza, right up until 10 p.m. Eastern time, watching, analyzing, betting on the world of sports. Baseball, WNBA, our college football next team over under. We'll preview that as we try and pick at least one team every single night just to have some fun with on whether we're going to go over or unders on the win totals. We got Black Clouds, SG, and 5 on the line. Trends, nice 4-1 last night. So a lot to get to over the next 2 hours. What's going on, Gabe? How are you tonight?
We're doing all right. Scott, I got my eye on the WNBA rematch. Last week, we watched the Dallas Wings and the New York Liberty. So I figured, why not? Let's do it again. Right? I remember that game. The Wings were up 27 at the half. It's 11.5 point spread tonight at closing time, Scott. And we got a close game here. The second half has just begun. We've got a 37-35 basketball game. The Wings giving the Liberty all they can handle again. Yet Paige Beckers, her prop was 18.5. She's at 7 points right now. So that's the game that I've got my my eyes on the most right now.
All right. I'm guessing no Breanna Stewart again tonight for the Liberty. She's been out for, 4 games now, 1-3 straight up, 0-4 against the spread. I was going to be on the Liberty game. I really was, because I remembered last week's game. You and I were doing the show, and they made that great comeback that they came up a few points short. And I thought, okay, let's go right back on the Liberty. They're going to remember that. But, man, they're not giving any break with this Liberty team, making them 11-point favorite tonight. Over-under was 176.5. You couldn't even go with the over for me. It was just too many points. I was hoping it would be 7, maybe 8, but man, 11 points. They haven't covered a game since Stewart got hurt. 0-4 against the spread, so I couldn't do it.
I went total public square parlay of the night, which I don't often do, Scott. I'm not proud of it, but I'll admit it. I took the New York Liberty on the money line. So I was like, you know what? They're gonna win the game, right? And it was like, wasn't that bad. It was like minus 450. So like from a parlay perspective, it was like, all right, I think they're gonna win the game. Let's get this going here. I took the Seattle Mariners with Woo on the hill here tonight. And once again, although they cost the parlay last night, the Los Angeles Dodgers at the back end tonight, Wetzel. We've got the Dodgers. Night. Another under, though. Another under. Yeah. And I know you said last night, too, 9-1 and 10. I think it's one of those, depending what your number was, Scott, you can argue there was a push, that it was 9-0-1 going into last night. So like 10-0-1 last 11 games. So you could argue like you haven't lost. There was, depending, whether you had that half run or not. It's always subjective when you talk about these sort of betting streaks, right? Was it a half point here, half run there, whatever? What was the consensus closing number?
Line, closing line.
Yeah, whatever. But either way, bro, either way, there's been 11 straight unders in Dodger games, basically. Yeah, an over hasn't gone over in 12 games.
It's you wonder why. You look at the lineup, man. I can't believe it's Mookie Betts. I hate to blame it on him. He's one of my favorite players as a Red Sox. Guy's hitting 230 game. It's the craziest thing. Tony's doing well. I know Freeman was in a slump, and they got right now anyway. They got Betts sandwiched between the two. The guy's hitting 230. He's like a Hall of Fame player, and it's just remarkable how the top of that lineup for the Dodgers doesn't hit. Muncy is now back, but at the top of that lineup for the Dodgers doesn't hit. They're not scoring runs. So yeah. Speaking of trends, speaking of numbers, 5 on the line last night, not bad. So let's hop right to it. We got 5 more trends, best 5 trends for games that have yet to get underway tonight. 5 on the line. Yeah, could have had a perfect 5-0 last night. We went 4-1. The only one we lost with was the Dodgers to actually win the game and ended up losing there 3-2. So hit with the Angels, hit with the under Cincinnati Cubbies, hit with Texas, which came back and beat the Stanks, and then we hit with the under 8 St. Louis and LA Dodgers. So 4-1. So we're now 64 games over 500 with these trends. So where are we going to go tonight? Until from 5 down to number 1. We'll start with Tampa Bay losing again last night in Los Angeles, or Anaheim against the Angels. 1-12 now. Their last, 1-11 their last 12 road games. So back on the Angels, laying a small price at -126. Cincinnati and the Cubbies, an under last night, right? Didn't really like it, 7, but I'll be darned if the thing didn't go under. So Cincinnati now 19-6 under their last 25 games. So let's go under 7.5 Cincinnati and Chicago. Mentioned the Texas Rangers winning last night, now 11-1 their last 12 at home, including 7 in a row. Right back to the well we go. It's a small price with Eovaldi on the hill, who's been just unhittable. Pitcher of the month last month. Texas -126. 10-1, 11-0, however you want to view it. Dodgers straight in the last 11 games. So right back to the well. They're giving us a fat number again, 9, not even 8.5. So under 9, St. Louis and the LA Dodgers. And that leaves us with only one, the coup de grace, creme de la creme, just tipping off. Yes, not first pitch, but tipping off. And that is WNBA, our number 1 play, boys. Chicago. (0-8) are the Sky, and more importantly for our purposes, 0-8 against the spread. They have failed to win and cover 8 straight games. 7 of those 8 losses have been by double digits. So it's Washington, the Mystics, laying 5.5 against Chicago, just tipping off game. What do you think?
Interesting night tonight in the WNBA, actually. We've got the Fever. No Caitlin Clark, though. I know a lot of people are talking about Caitlin Clark. No Caitlin Clark, but the Fever and the Sparks should be a fun one. The Lynx and the Storm this evening. I don't have any problem continuing to bet against the Yankees and or the Rays, for that matter. I'm a fan of the Angels. I like what they've done. Are they going to make the playoffs? No. But they've been at home. They've been winning more than they've been losing at home over the last week and a half or so, the last week. And it seems like they've been at home for the last week, or 2 weeks since we've been on, Scott, like a week and a half here or whatnot. But I don't have a problem with those. I'm surprised, there was no trends with the Toronto Blue Jays tonight. And this really isn't a trend. It's more so just a player situation. And here's Jose Barrios. Last 5 starts in the month of August, 5-0. He's got a 1.56 ERA, 0.87 WHIP, only 5 walks and 31 strikeouts. And last night was a proper palooza. Bo Bichette, lit it up last night. Vladimir Guerrero, Scott, we talked about him last night, Junior, about how the home runs haven't been there, right? But the production has been there. 21-game on-base streak, Scott. 27 hits, 17 runs, 12 RBIs, 15 walks. He's batting .338 during the last 21 games. and he's got a 992 OPS. His over-under tonight, total base is 1.5, is minus 155. So it's a little higher than we normally like to do when you're talking about an over 1.5 total base prop, Scott. But with these numbers and Coors Field, and as hot as the Blue Jays are, I will be playing Vlad tonight over 1.5 total bases.
All right. He's the one that cost us last night with our SGP. We had him all except for he didn't get his 2 bases. He got a hit, but unfortunately it was a single, and that was his only at bat. And they were leading by so much they took him out early in the game, which, it figures, 15-1, I think it was at the time. So, yeah, I don't mind that, Gabe. You look at the numbers that this Colorado team, they've been an under team, believe it or not, this year. For the most part, not a whole lot, but it's not as crazy as you think with overs. But these last several games, 15 runs, 9 runs, 5 runs, 16 runs, 5 runs, 10 runs, 6 runs. I mean, they're giving up runs. Another 18 run against the Orioles not that long ago. So anything anti-Colorado is not a bad way to go. It really is. All right, just underway, in-game live, game day here on the grid.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
All right, welcome back in-game live. Game day here on the grid. Scott and Gabe, hour number 1, just getting underway. Just to recap real quickly, our 5 on the line that we hand out every single night. Nice 4-1 last night. Right back to the well with a lot of these. Same as last night. Why not, right? Don't mess around with success. Angels over Tampa Bay. Devil Dogs now 1-11 their last 12 road games. Under Cincy, Chicago Cubs. Reds now 19-6 under their last 25 games. Texas minus 126 against the Stanks. Rangers now 11-1 their last 12 at home. Dodgers under with the Cardinals 9, 10-0-1, 10-1, 11-0 maybe under for the Dodgers last 11 games. And then the Washington Mystics laying 5.5 against Chicago. I know it's WNBA. A lot of you guys don't delve into that, but we were pretty decent with these numbers with the WNBA, and Chicago's lost and failed to cover 8 straight. So can't beat 8 in a row no matter what sport it is. So not bad there.
I will say,
all right,
I will say, I don't want to
gambling.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I don't want to play. I'll play district attorney here. You can't use them as picks when they win and say they're just trends when they lose, right? So you got to sort of pretext it.
Right. Yeah, that's true. They are just trends. They are. You do what you want with them. Some, we said last night, I said I didn't really like the Cincinnati.
Because a couple of nights ago, the trends went because there was a bunch of nights in a row, every trend went opposite. Like they just weren't working. Yeah. And it made sense. I fell for a few of them where like the Blue Jay game last night was one of the rare games where what happened kind of said, well, we thought was going to happen, right? The Blue Jay team total was 6.5. It went over. It was one of those games. A lot of the games have been playing into bizarro world, but last night the trends did come into play. And here's another one too. Ernie Clement last night, guys, 5 hits for the Toronto Blue Jays. And his prop tonight is over under 1.5 total bases, minus 130. So, I get it. You would think, all right, number one, who the hell is Ernie Clement? Number two, but this is what's made the Blue Jays good. They have a bunch of dudes that nobody really knows who they are, who are good. And so he had 5 hits, Scott. So I would say, all right, well, he had 5 hits last night. Like betting on him now is kind of a public day late, dollar short, where, you're early for the funeral, late for the wedding type of bet, right? It's like, yeah, he had 5 hits yesterday, so I'm going to bet on him today. But this is pretty crazy, Scott. And it's, the type of stat and fact that people wouldn't realize. He has 19 hits since July 23rd. He's got 19 hits. Only Bo Bichette and Manny Machado in Major League Baseball have more hits than that since that date, since July 23rd. He's been hot, bro. And a player that no one really knows. You know what I'm saying? Hardcores know him, diehard baseball fans and DFS nerds, etc. But the average person to be Ernie Clement, really? Yeah, Ernie Clement since July 23rd. Only Bo Bichette, 25, and Manny Machado, 21, have more hits than Ernie Clement's 19. So let's ride the hot hand. Let's not fight the trend here. The trend is our friend. And once again, in Coors, he's in the lineup tonight. I'm going to take him over 1.5 total bases, minus 130.
Yeah. You know what FanDuel offers and other sites do as well. And I'm surprised because they don't do this in same-game parlays, which is why I use bases more times than not, which I don't like because you get screwed with walks and stuff. It's an empty at bat. But they offer up, Gabe, will a guy get 1 hit, run, RBI, or 2 hits, runs, RBIs, or 3, and so on down the line. So if a guy gets a walk and scores, at least you're getting credit for a run. I actually like that better than total bases. Whereas, like I said, you can get screwed.
I don't.
You could get a guy to really? No, I could. You could get a single, get an RBI, and score a run, or at least get a single and we'll go conservative. Get an RBI, and there's 2 right there. Versus
I understand the payout of it. I understand the payout of it, but I don't like worrying about having to win multiple things. The one thing that I do agree with you, and this is a bettor's, I don't know if you agree with me on this, Scott. From a betting perspective, shouldn't a walk count as a total base?
Yes.
You got on base. He's on base.
Right.
You're on first base.
Right.
That's a base. I don't care how it happened. Right? Like, that's a base. But, it doesn't count, with as an at-bat, etc. Yet you still got on base, Scott. That's the one peeve that I have. And it's frustrating. We were talking about Vlad Guerrero. He's a good example. He's patient at the plate suddenly. He actually walks a lot, and it's annoying. Like, if you look at his box score, Scott, you'll see he's like 1 for 2 or 0 for 2. And you'd be like, what do you mean? Like, it's like, yeah, he walked twice, right? And he got a double. Yeah. He walked twice, and he popped out once or something. And that's his box score. So, like, he's got a weird box line. That's where it sort of freaks people out with him. How come he doesn't have more of this, more of that? Because he's more patient. Like, he's better all around. He's a better situational hitter now, and he's on a better team. He's not just sort of swinging for the fences, but I've always been annoyed by that. Similar situation like shots on goal, Wetzel. How the hell is it if it hit the goal post, not a shot on goal? It literally hit the goal.
Yeah.
It's a definition. It hit the net, right? But they don't count. If the puck hits the goalpost in hockey, the scorekeeper doesn't count it as a shot on goal. I have like a list of about 20 things, Scott, in sports betting props that I would change. Morency Sportsbook would revolutionize the business.
Yeah, I'll give you one with hockey as well. You know, the guy, hits the puck off the boards, right? And it ricochets, and the goalie has to stop it. That doesn't count as a shot on goal either. And I've always said, well, wait a minute now. If at least with the goalpost, okay, you know what? If there was nobody in net, would it be a goal? No, it hit the goalpost. So, okay, I understand the logic. Don't like it, but I understand it. But in this case, if that goalie's not stopping that puck, even though it's coming in 2 miles an hour, even though it ricocheted off the end boards or whatever,
you're right.
If he doesn't stop it, it's going in. So that's
it's the same thing.
Right.
They don't count it. They won't count it, Scott, if you'll see if a defenseman will just sort of dump it on the net from the other end of the rink.
Right.
Same thing. He'll flick it.
Right.
And same thing. It's like, it isn't your job to judge whether it was hard or not to stop it. It's not your job to judge, like, how hard the puck was coming in, how fast. He stopped it. Like, I don't care.
And if he
like,
didn't,
if the
it would
goalie
be a
stopped
goal.
it with his stick, he stopped it. That's a shot on goal. He stopped it. Right?
Yeah.
That drives me crazy.
I mean, it's great, yeah. And I'll tell you, in the postseason, they really screwed around with the shots on goal. I can't tell you every single game.
They tighten up.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like the prop, because you'll watch the game and you'll go crazy. You'll be like, that's a freaking shot on goal. They didn't count it. Right? It's a shot on goal. And then they add up and like, yeah, the math. And you're really betting on some dude, some media guy up in the press box deciding what he wants, too.
Yeah, that's it.
They're in a decent spot. They actually had a really great quarter this past quarter, and they're crediting what they're calling a smarter approach to sports betting and player quality, not just being lucky and being on the winning side of more bets. Of course, the past 2 quarters have been really bad for sports books, which just got hammered in the NFL playoffs, and then that continued into March Madness. But it looks like Q2 is shaping up to be much better for them.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Want to hear a crazy stat, guys, with this Pittsburgh Pirate team? I brought this up yesterday. Out of 106 games, they have been involved in 27 shutouts, 13-4, 14 against. Over 1 out of every 4 Pittsburgh Pirate games ends in a shutout. How crazy is that?
Total is 8 tonight.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Was already pretty solid up top, but you had the bottom that's that much better with Ryan O'Hearn and Lariano. Like, we now have a well-rounded lineup on top of a great pitching staff. Michael King is expected to start making his rehab starts. So you have him plus Pivetta plus Dylan Cease. You Darvish is back. You have the frontline pitching, the depth in the lineup, and now a great bullpen. You have it all.
I really like it. Like I do. Like sometimes I get caught up in the Padres of what they can be.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Just more and more smoke, leading to the fire that is Keegan Bradley being on this team as a player.
Yeah, I think we're all expecting it at this point. And, Keegan, he knows he can't play poorly in the playoffs. Like, he knows he needs to keep momentum going. And if he continues to play well, he's going to be on this team.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back. It is in-game live game day here on the grid. Scott and Gabe, hour number 1 with our SGP same game parlay time. All right, right back to the well we go with Toronto. Came so close with hitting it last night, but we came up one at-bat short. So right back to the well. For the most part, we're going to duplicate what we had last night, change it a little bit. This time we will actually take Toronto in the game itself. We just went with the over last night. We're going to go right back to the over 11.5. And with all these runs that are being scored in Toronto, in Colorado these days, I don't know how this one stays under. Even if we need to get 12 out of Toronto tonight, we probably will. We'll go back with Vlad Guerrero, 2 bases, minus 190. Well, they're not giving you any discount with these games. That is for sure. Bo Bichette, we got to bump up to 3 bases, and it's only plus 120, but I'm hoping for a home run, maybe a double and a single. Barrios, he's not a big strikeout pitcher, but Colorado's the number 2 strikeout team behind the Angels. So let's go lower his number from 4.5 down to only 4 strikeouts, minus 250. They whack you. And then we'll go Jordan Beck on the other side for the Rockies. And this is the one that's going to bump it way up. Without Beck, it's right around 5.5 to 1. When we threw the Beck in there to get a base hit for Colorado, even at minus 290, it nearly doubled it to plus 904. And Beck has been on fire for Colorado. The kid has reached the base safely 17 of his last 20 games, hitting over 300 in the month of July. So add it all up, and it's a nice little plus 904. Hopefully we get a kind of a duplicate. We're asking for a lot, maybe not 15 runs, but hopefully a nice little 9-4, 10-3 type of Toronto win game.
It's a lottery ticket. Let's call it out for what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a lottery ticket. I'm not a fan just personally of the bigger same game parlays, right? Like the way I look at it, it's almost like, you get the same amount of jail time if you rob a corner store or you rob a bank, right? Either way, it's armed robbery. You might as well go for the big money. So I don't mind attacking some crazy parlay, but the sort of mid ones, I'm really not a big parlay person to begin with. 2 teams, same game parlays. I really don't play that many of them. There's a reason why the sports books want you to play them. I'll put it that way. Right? You're asking for a lot. And, you're putting it together. At times, though, I'm not saying I don't play them, but 2 of them, 2 team, 3-leggers type of deal, a sort of attack. But listen, the thing is, Scott, you hit this at 9 to 1, you're good for the week, right? It pays for itself. So as long as you hit a couple of them a week, you keep the wheels rolling. And I'm not criticizing it. It's the one thing about sports betting. People, you should never criticize somebody else's approach or what they do if it's working for them, right? You know what I mean? There's a million different ways to sports bet. Like people have there's so many different styles and ways of approaching it, and single game this and big money, small money, big money where they don't even really bet on the games. We talk about it. They're just trying to scalp the game, in-game, middle, and get plus money on both sides, and they move on and they could care less who wins the game, right? There's just so many different types of sports bettors out there. So I never criticize somebody's approach. But just for me personally, I'm not a fan of the, when it gets too big, Scott, and I need too many things to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, and what's upsetting about it, they're smart. Like, you can't play these for the most part straight up. Like, you're not going to take Jose Barrios 4 strikeouts minus 250 straight up. You're not going to take even Jordan Beck to get a base hit minus 290 or Vlad Guerrero minus 190. So they know, Gabe, that you're putting these things in SGPs. So they bump it up even more, and then they still whack you because it's all correlated in their mind. I don't know how. I've asked this before. I don't know how they figure out how much it's correlated, but if you just put a parlay, minus 235, minus 250, minus 290, blah, 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 I guarantee you it'll come way out to be more than plus 9 to 1. But
I've heard exactly, and I've heard you talk about this at times, you and Sheriff had in the past. And I know from, what I do with the sport I do, it's got a soccer, like MLS. I like same game parlays for MLS. They don't let me do a lot of things, right? Which tells me it's like, no, you'll let me do what you want to do, but your same game parlay should be, and I'm allowed to put any freaking combo I want to put together here. But sometimes, Scott, I'm clicking, it's like, how come it's not moving when I'm adding more selections and they're not giving it to me?
Some it goes backwards, Gabe. I swear to God, I've seen some where it goes lower.
So I'm like, so you're really not giving me a choice. It's almost like a sale, Scott. Look, everything's on sale in the store. No, it isn't Black Friday. It's a bunch of crap you have in a warehouse that you haven't gotten rid of all year. It's not a sale.
Rob Donaldson, Underdog Fantasy, coming up next.
They're in a decent spot. They actually had a really great quarter this past quarter, and they're crediting what they're calling a smarter approach to sports betting and player quality, not just being lucky and being on the winning side of more bets. Of course, the past 2 quarters have been really bad for sports books, which just got hammered in the NFL playoffs, and then that continued into March Madness. But it looks like Q2 is shaping up to be much better for them.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Want to hear a crazy stat, guys, with this Pittsburgh Pirate team? I brought this up yesterday. Out of 106 games, they have been involved in 27 shutouts, 13-4, 14 against. Over 1 out of every 4 Pittsburgh Pirate games ends in a shutout. How crazy is that?
Total is 8 tonight.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Was already pretty solid up top, but you had the bottom that's that much better with Ryan O'Hearn and Lariano. Like, we now have a well-rounded lineup on top of a great pitching staff. Michael King is expected to start making his rehab starts. So you have him plus Pavetta plus Dylan Cease. You Darvish is back. You have the frontline pitching, the depth in the lineup, and now a great bullpen. You have it all.
I really like it. Like I do. Like sometimes I get caught up in the Padres because of what they can be.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Just more and more smoke, leading to the fire that is Keegan Bradley being on this team as a player.
Yeah, I think we're all expecting it at this point. And, Keegan, he knows he can't play poorly in the playoffs. Like, he knows he needs to keep momentum going. And if he continues to play well, he's going to be on this team.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back. It is In-Game Live, game day here on the grid. Scott and Gabe, hour number 1. We got a full slate of baseball, a lot of blowouts. I mean, a lot of blowouts. Fortunately, we got a couple of games that just threw their first pitch or so into first, second innings. Those are relatively close, but otherwise, you got a bunch of 5-6 run outcomes so far. But a chance to make a couple of shekels with the boys in Vegas just the same. As we welcome in Rob Donaldson, UnderdogFantasy.com. Check out his website, UnderdogFantasy.com, for all the fun there. What's going on, Rob? How are you tonight?
Hey, man, I'm doing well. With those blowouts, I'm on the right side of a couple of them here with the Giants and also the over in the A's game. So, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good going into this night slate.
Yeah, I had the Giants last night, and I normally go right back to them, and I just, you know what, I was like, forget it. This Giant team is going to kill me. I bet against them against the Mets. They won. Bet with them last night. They lost. It's one of those where I just said, I give up. You win. So what made you go Giants tonight? Just with Logan Webb on the hill?
Yeah, and a reasonably priced first 5 money line. And, to your point, the Giants usually don't put up runs, but I kind of felt like, if he could go out there and give them at least like 1 or 2 off the board in terms of, the other team scoring runs, I felt like the Giants could either even that through the first 5 frames or maybe get to that 3-run mark. And yeah, they definitely exceeded the 3-run mark in this game.
The one game that I'm frustrated I left on the table, and I was on them last night. They were trailing early. We had them in a parlay, but the price was kind of fair tonight was the Phillies. Right? They weren't like these massive favorites tonight. Up 4-0 right now. I expect this team to end the season strong. But we got this Blue Jay Rocky game going off the board here. What do you think about this, Rob? Last night, the Blue Jays bats just went off. I've been giving people some numbers. Guerrero, a 21-game on base streak right now. The home runs really aren't there, but he is getting on base. The production is there. And Ernie, nobody's ever heard of him, Clement. Since July 23rd, he's got the 3rd most hits in Major League Baseball. 5 hits last night, but it wasn't like a fluke one-off last night. The guy's hot right now. He can hit the baseball. What do you think about the Blue Jays and the Rockies game tonight from a prop perspective?
Yeah, and another guy who's kind of a youthful, unknown sort of name in that lineup right there is Addison Barger, and he's been red hot as well. And absolutely, and Ernie Clement alongside him to pair with the guys that they brought in terms of like that veteran standing. George Springer, Vladdy's obviously signed up long term, and then who knows if Anthony Santander will ever factor in this season again. But at the same time, I don't think they need him to, because this lineup is humming. Their bullpen has some additions now that I really think solidified it, and their rotation has really shown up here in the second half as well. And going into this game tonight, I think they're going to have a good chance to keep the Rockies off the board, but the Blue Jays team total is actually where I'm really eyeing at tonight.
6.5 once again, Scott. It was 6.5 last night.
Yeah.
They got it. It was the third inning. They went over. It's 6.5 again tonight.
That's a lot of runs, Rob, right? I mean, but I guess in a big picture, it's not, when you look at how many runs Colorado's been giving up, but man, it needs 7 runs. That's asking for a lot, but they've been doing it. How about Yanks and Texas Rangers, boy? I just want to bet on the Yankees just to see them lose. There's the real black cloud, Rob, just to see and hear the Yankee fans here in New York. They're pulling their hair out. They're fed up. They're making all these videos. There was one made of an AI video of Aaron Boone yesterday. It's just
they're
hilarious.
still in the playoffs too. Like they're freaking out. Like I understand if you're last place or something. It's like chill out. All right, you're still in the playoffs. It's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. But I think they want to be bad so they get Boone and Cashman fired, actually, guys. Right? I think that's sort of like the hardcore Yankee fan, I think, actually just wants blood right now, Rob. That's what they want. There's blood. They want blood.
Yeah, they want to see heads to roll, right? I mean, this is the Dallas Cowboys of Major League Baseball. If you're not winning a Super Bowl, if you're not winning a World Series, it's a bust, even regardless of whether expectations are fair or not. And, when you look at the Yankees, they acquired all this bullpen help, and then immediately the bullpen has blown like 2 of these major games against the Rangers, against the Marlins, in about a 4-game stretch. And now the only real kind of hand pointing that needs to go on here is, well, hey, who's running these guys out there on the bump? It's Aaron Boone. There's not a lot more kind of upwards trajectory that Yankees fans can kind of field their ire. And, if the Rangers end up sweeping the series, the Yankees are out of that playoff picture, and the Rangers are taking their spot.
I didn't get the line tonight, Rod. They were only minus 130 or so. Eovaldi's been unhittable. Pitcher of the month in the American League in the month of July. Yanks are struggling. Rangers at home, 34-20. Right now they got runners on first and second, so it's up to minus 245. But I thought they would have been closer to, maybe 160, 170. But they were making it manageable to be to bet Texas tonight. Did you like this game at all?
Yeah, and in particular, I really liked it because I was looking at Will Warren's, second and third time through numbers, and oh my goodness, he's had a lot of regression in this second half, and really actually since the month of May was kind of midway through, and now it just kind of feels like the Rangers, as this game goes on, are going to only pile up more runs, and also Nate Eovaldi, he has run into some hard hit issues over the last couple starts, and so if the Yankees can peel one off here too, I think a live over is a fantastic play, especially with 0 runs currently on the board and maybe getting a little bit of better number on that live line.
Last night we cashed the Rangers plus 200 when they were down. And what's crazy? I didn't get them guys either. I like to brag and say I got a bigger number when they were down 3-0. Remember, Scott, you and I talked about the Rangers game last night, liking them at plus 115, plus 120 or whatever it was. I didn't get the bet in on time. The Yankees scored so quickly, it went to plus 200. And I said, Rob, well, you know what? There's 1 run. I still like them. And then they were down 3-0. And I was like, damn, I wish I got in at 3-0 instead of 1-0. But it was a wild game. And also Texas, Rob, one of the biggest sort of home road dichotomies too. They're just a completely different hitting team when they're at home.
Yeah, and honestly, when we're talking about these Yankees kind of blown games on the back end as well, kind of the underlying thing that doesn't really get talked about or addressed when that does happen is they're burning their bullpen. Devin Williams isn't probably going to be available tonight at this point, and they added a lot of bullpen arms, but one of those bullpen arms and Jake Bird already just got sent down to the minors. So I feel like when you're talking about who's available on the back end of the game for the Yankees, especially if Will Warren can't go deep, which is kind of like my inkling. I don't know if he's going to make it through 5 or 6 in this game. I think that's going to open the door for a really Rangers sort of outburst here in the 4th, 5th, and maybe 6th inning. And that's going to spell some danger for maybe a Yankees backer who's taking that plus money line, or kind of going for maybe a +1, +1.5 sort of deal.
All right, we got Cincy and the Cubbies scoreless. Good matchup. NL Central Cubs or Reds actually winning last night to 3-2. Bottom of the second, no score. Cubs -172. Any thoughts on that game?
Hey, 2 elite lineups right now that are swinging bats really well. And it's kind of crazy to say that about the Reds because they were kind of tentative, sitting on their hands sort of team near the deadline. And in the offseason, definitely they were just kind of like, hey, what we have is what we have. But they've been heating up as of late. The Cubs are only leaning on their lineup at this point in time. And I know this game is in Wrigley. You always kind of got to be a little bit precautious about the wind, but I think runs could be aplenty here, especially as we kind of open up this game a little bit.
I see the Red Sox just grabbed the 3-1 lead over Kansas City, bottom of the 6th inning. Boy, my Bo Sox are playing well, Rob. I got to tell you, I want to pinch myself because when they play bad, man, they look bad. But when they play well, they don't like win game 7-1. They just seem to do all the right things, and it looks like it's the perfect team. Did you like Red Sox tonight with Crochet on the hill?
I think the Red Sox are super legit, and this was a team that even before they were kind of surging before the break and went on that 10-game win streak, I felt like they were going to get better because they had all their guys sort of established at their positions, and yeah, it's showing up now post All-Star break as well.
All right, take a quick little break. We got 4 games starting a little bit later on. We'll get Rob's thoughts on those. Tampa Bay and the Angels. We got the Dodgers and St. Louis Cardinals, Padres and Diamondbacks, and then White Sox opening up a series in Seattle. We'll get Rob's thoughts on those games when we come back.
They're in a decent spot. They actually had a really great quarter this past quarter, and they're crediting what they're calling a smarter approach to sports betting and player quality, not just being lucky and being on the winning side of more bets. Of course, the past 2 quarters have been really bad for sports books, which just got hammered in the NFL playoffs, and then that continued into March Madness. But it looks like Q2 is shaping up to be much better for them.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Want to hear a crazy stat, guys, with this Pittsburgh Pirate team? I brought this up yesterday. Out of 106 games, they have been involved in 27 shutouts, 13-4, 14 against. Over 1 out of every 4 Pittsburgh Pirate games ends in a shutout. How crazy is that?
Total is 8 tonight.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Was already pretty solid up top, but you had the bottom that's that much better with Ryan O'Hearn and Lariano. Like, we now have a well-rounded lineup on top of a great pitching staff. Michael King is expected to start making his rehab starts. So you have him plus Pivetta plus Dylan Cease. You Darvish is back. You have the frontline pitching, the depth in the lineup, and now a great bullpen. You have it all.
I really like it. Like I do. Like sometimes I get caught up in the Padres because of what they can be.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Just more and more smoke, leading to the fire that is Keegan Bradley being on this team as a player.
Yeah, I think we're all expecting it at this point. And, Keegan, he knows he can't play poorly in the playoffs. Like, he knows he needs to keep momentum going. And if he continues to play well, he's going to be on this team.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. It is in-game live game day here on the grid. Scott and Gabe, hour number one, talking with Rob Donaldson, UnderdogFantasy.com. It's UnderdogFantasy.com. So a lot of blowouts early on. We got Giants 8-1, Houston 7-3, Twinkies 6-1, A's 10-3. Phillies 4-0. So some games a little bit later on, Rob, that are going to start in a little bit here. We'll begin with the Tampa Bay Rays and LA Angels. What Tampa Bay has been scuffling on the road. 111 their last 12 road games. They traded away Littell, who's making his debut. So it's one pitcher that they don't have on their team, seemingly giving up, if you will. They are 13-8 last 21 against the Angels. If that means anything, Pepio's on the hill. He's lost 5 straight starts for Tampa Bay. I like the Angels. I think Gabe likes the Angels as well. But how do you see this one playing out?
Yeah, when I look at Jose Soriano, he's actually somebody that I kind of like backing, and in large part because he plays for the Angels, where you almost have inherent value if you're somewhat decent on the bump. And he has been somewhat decent on the bump. And, it really kind of comes down to the fact that he's getting a lot of double play balls behind him, and having that sidearm release, having a good sinker, that definitely contributes to that fact. And on the other side, when you're looking at Pepio, this is a guy who kind of gets touched up every single time he takes the bump in some capacity. And yeah, he's kind of hovering around that 4 ERA mark. And I think that's largely why, is because he always gives up at least something. And for that reason, I actually kind of like the Angels through the first 5 on the money line in this game.
Angels first 5 tonight.
Not bad.
All right, how about Seattle and Chicago? Wu has had a great year, Rob, but his last 3 starts, not impeccable. He gave up 4 runs to the Houston Astros 3 starts ago. He got roughed up a little bit by the Athletics in his last start. And the White Sox, from a betting perspective, have been better than people realize. And you'll like this as a Yankee hater, Wetzel. Since the month of June, or since July started, the month of June, the White Sox and the Yankees have the same amount of wins, Scott, 24.
Wow.
Right. Yeah.
How about that, Rob? Oh, that's funny.
And Rob, you guys know, the White Sox have won a couple of series, and they've kind of been playing they've kind of been playing 500 baseball, Scott, for about a month and a half or so. To be honest, so have the Yankees. That's my point. They're both since the start of June, they both have 24 wins. So what about the Mariners game? And I can't help but be a public mark on this, Rob, and love everything that the Mariners did. You were speaking glowingly about what the Blue Jays did. I wouldn't be surprised if it was the Blue Jays and the Mariners in the American League Championship Series.
Yeah, and to your point, though, we're talking about a single game, sort of a one-off scenario. And the White Sox are the most profitable first 5 money line team in all of baseball this season. They've been lights out, and it starts with their starting rotation, right? Obviously, you remove Adrian Hauser from the mix. He was a guy who was always getting it done start by start, but they still have a really young, good core in that, starting rotation. And I think when you're talking about the White Sox offensively, they've only gotten better as the season goes on, yet you look at the first 5 money line, it's plus 185 tonight. And it almost kind of feels like they're one of the teams, almost like the Orioles, where they're a sinking ship. No, I think they're ascending right now. And I totally want to be a backer of the White Sox moving forward the rest of the season.
Interesting. Are you scared of that game? Yeah. Scott, are you scared? Because it does feel a little trappish with Seattle. I think Seattle win, but it's more, it won't be easy. And like I said, Wu has been hit in his last 3 starts, right? So it's not a free for all. Let me just quickly say too about the White Sox. That's the whole thing, Rob. You get it. A lot of people will look at teams' records. Number one, baseball players don't care about their records. It's such an individualistic sport. They're playing for themselves. They're playing for a contract. They're playing to play for somewhere else. Like Bo Schembechler said it in the speech. The last time you'll ever play for a team. You'll play for a contract. You'll play for this. You'll play for that. Right? And he's right about that. And you see, you can't take anything for granted with these teams. But people look at teams' records. If you're a young team, the White Sox were the worst team in the history of baseball last year. Like you said, Rob, they're ascending. They feel good when they walk into the clubhouse. They're like, hey, we don't lose every day anymore. This is actually fun. Right? Even though when the average person looks at their record and sees they suck, right? There's interesting dynamics in clubhouses. The Orioles are sort of in that screw it, the season's done, let's just have fun mode now. You'll notice. They were kind of depressed. It kind of kicked in. All right, this season's a wash. It is what it is. And you see the players are kind of having fun with the Orioles a little bit now. You really got to read into that, though. Which teams are miserable? Which teams are really still happy to be showing up to the park?
Yeah, and honestly, I'll even go a step further and say, season-long stats in Major League Baseball are pretty much a wash on a night-to-night basis, unless you're talking about like the season-end awards, which that's going to award the accomplishment of a season. But if we're talking about a scope of just 1 month versus another month, the Miami Marlins posted the best bullpen ERA last month, and they started the season through the first 3 months with the worst possible bullpen ERA. And if you're not factoring that in and kind of the changing of the tides, all of a sudden you're backing a team for the wrong reasons.
Makes sense of that. Wow. Baseball, huh? Wow.
That is funny. Talking about backing teams for the wrong reasons. We were on the Dodgers last night, and every single time you think, Rob, they're going to break out of this funk, they throw it. I mean, they got no business losing to St. Louis last night at home, yet they found a way to lose. Back on them again tonight, minus 180 favorites against the Cards. Where are you going?
Yeah, and Miles Michaelis, this is a guy who started off the season actually very, very impressive in terms of going out there every single time, giving them a quality start, a chance to win. And that has sort of kind of fallen by the wayside over recent, past couple months even. And in large part, it's because of the long ball. The Dodgers, as kind of boomer busts as they have been, when they have success, it's because of the long ball. And I do feel like if you're back in the Cards tonight, I think maybe you take a team total over, but I wouldn't feel good about a money line or even just kind of a run line buffer.
They do get Max Muncy back, the Dodgers. He returned last night. They still found a way to lose, but Tommy Edman's now on the 10-day disabled list for the Dodgers. Man, this team just can't get healthy. They just whatever they do, it's they just can't get healthy. It's amazing. Cardinals 6-11 now after the All-Star break, but they found a way to win last night. So, Rob, great job as always.
Well. Give him credit.
Lights out. Unbelievable. Who would have thought that, right? Amazing. Rod, great job. UnderdogFantasy.com. Check out his site.
They're in a decent spot. They actually had a really great quarter this past quarter, and they're crediting what they're calling a smarter approach to sports betting and player quality, not just being lucky and being on the winning side of more bets. Of course, the past 2 quarters have been really bad for sports books, which just got hammered in the NFL playoffs, and then that continued into March Madness. But it looks like Q2 is shaping up to be much better for them.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
You want to hear a crazy stat, guys, with this Pittsburgh Pirate team? I brought this up yesterday. Out of 106 games, they have been involved in 27 shutouts, 13-4, 14 against. Over 1 out of every 4 Pittsburgh Pirate games ends in a shutout. How crazy is that?
Total was 8 tonight.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Was already pretty solid up top, but you had the bottom that's that much better with Ryan O'Hearn and Lariano. Like, we now have a well-rounded lineup on top of a great pitching staff. Michael King is expected to start making his rehab starts. So you have him plus Pivetta plus Dylan Cease. You Darvish is back. You have the frontline pitching, the depth in the lineup, and now a great bullpen. You have it all.
I really like it. Like I do. Like sometimes I get caught up in the Padres of what they can be.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Just more and more smoke, leading to the fire that is Keegan Bradley being on this team as a player.
Yeah, I think we're all expecting it at this point. And, Keegan, he knows he can't play poorly in the playoffs. Like, he knows he needs to keep momentum going. And if he continues to play well, he's going to be on this team.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
welcome back. It is in-game live game day here on the grid. Thanks again, Rob Donaldson, UnderdogFantasy.com, giving us hopefully some winners for tonight. Last segment, hour number 1, Black Cloud Play of the Day. All right. Normally, I would go right back to the well with my stubbornness of the Irish, German, Polish, and Italian all kind of fight together. But you know what? I'm not going to do it with the Dodgers. They had their chance last night. So let's look elsewhere for our best play. And I'm going to go to the Arizona game. Again, I had it up to my ears with the San Diego Padres, too, expecting them to be the greatest thing in the world. Every time they buy into these teams, they tend to throw a wrinkle like they did last night. No business losing to Arizona. So, but we lose that game. I'm going to go over 3.5 runs, Gabe, Arizona. Yu Darvish is on the hill. He was terrific his last outing, but it was against the Mets. And as we're seeing, the Mets are struggling. They can't beat Topeka High right now. So I'm going to throw that one out the window. His previous 4 starts since coming off the disabled list have been horrible. So I'm thinking Arizona. Maybe they don't win, but I think they're going to get 4 runs. Since the trade deadline, believe it or not, Diamondbacks are 3-1, including 3 straight wins in which they've scored 19 runs in these 3 games. So every once in a while you see this. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever, right? You take 2 of the best bats out of that lineup. It's still a halfway decent lineup. You really scratch your head and wonder why Arizona hasn't been better. They weren't a bad team that they just got rid of players. They should have been a heck of a lot better with their lineup. Yeah, the pitching killed them.
Killed them early.
So, but they can still score, right? So give me the over
once
3.5
again, though,
runs.
Scott. Once again, it's sort of the psychological, like it's so big, the mental aspect of this. You're talking about a 162-day grind, man, right? So high expectations for Arizona. I remember Max Muncy and the Dodgers before the year started. He said, I think Arizona are going to be our biggest threat. I think they're going to be really good this year. Like people thought, yeah, Arizona are going to be tough this year. And it kind of imploded on them. That you get depressed, season sucks, everybody's hurt. Oh, they traded everybody. And then there's that sort of, well, you know what? Life goes on, and I got to, now I'm playing more, right? There's always next man up, Scott. And now the pressure's off of them, right? It's like, all right, guys, you know what? People are giving up on us. Let's see if, let's just have fun and see if we can go on a run here. See what happens. You send the guys out, enthusiastic, right? Like it's all about the expectation level. I've been in Major League Baseball clubhouses, and the psyche of teams means so much, man. And teams' wills get broken and then rebuilt and broken again. And it's not just about like winning the division and stuff. Like it's a marathon. It's a job for these guys. So it's about putting up stats, managers winning as many games as they can, etc. So like you say, you can never take any, it, man. You can never take anything for granted, Scott. In September, if you're a baseball team and a fan and go, look at the score, look at the teams that we're playing. Look at this and that. Yes, the Blue Jays blew the Rockies out last night, but that doesn't happen every night, Scott, where the better team wins, bro.
Yeah. In case in point, they're losing tonight, by the way, 2-0 Toronto. But you look at that Arizona lineup, it's still pretty. I mean, you still got Marte, you got Corbin Carroll, you got Gurriel Jr.
Yeah.
Again, with those other 2 guys, Naylor and Suarez, you just wonder, man, that's a 5-deep lineup that's as good as anybody in baseball. You just, how come the pitching? The pitching just wasn't there. I guess that was the answer. Or sometimes guys get hits and the other guys don't. The other guys get hit, then the other guys don't. Just sometimes you just have those goofy things happen.
Their staff was besieged by injuries early, and it was just too much to overcome. Not to mention, playing in that division, there's not a lot of room for error, right? Like the Dodgers set the marathon pace, Scott. They start running, and you got to start jogging to keep up to them. And it's not easy for 162 days every year. You'll notice the Dodgers are there every year, and every year there's someone else punching at them. It's like this year San Diego's punching at them. It's Arizona punching at them. Or a couple of years ago with San Francisco punching at them, right? Yeah. When they both won 106 and 107. But those teams can't do it every year like the Dodgers do, right? That's the difference. They sort of go up and down, but the Dodgers are just steady and right there.
All right, Toronto is down 2-0. You get them now at Pick'em, -110, top of the second inning. FanDuel says they got a runner on third base, too, with looks like 1 out. That can't be. I don't think that would be Pick'em. But you want to go in on Toronto again?
Well, I'm not going to give up on them, just because they gave up a couple of early runs. I would expect the Blue Jays. You know what? If anything, the total is going to come into play. They do have a runner on third, Scott, but there's 2 out right now. And speaking of Ernie Clement is up right now. We got a 2-0 count. I got his total base prop. Watch, he's going to get a walk, Scott. Hey, watch, I'm going to get screwed. He's going to get a walk. What we talked about? Oh, no, he pops out to center field.
They're in a decent spot. They actually had a really great quarter this past quarter, and they're crediting what they're calling a smarter approach to sports betting and player quality, not just being lucky and being on the winning side of more bets. Of course, the past 2 quarters have been really bad for sports books, which just got hammered in the NFL playoffs, and then that continued into March Madness. But it looks like Q2 is shaping up to be much better for them.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
You want to hear a crazy stat, guys, with this Pittsburgh Pirate team? I brought this up yesterday. Out of 106 games, they have been involved in 27 shutouts, 13-4, 14 against. Over 1 out of every 4 Pittsburgh Pirate games ends in a shutout. How crazy is that?
Total is 8 tonight.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Was already pretty solid up top, but you had the bottom that's that much better with Ryan O'Hearn and Lariano. Like, we now have a well-rounded lineup on top of a great pitching staff. Michael King is expected to start making his rehab starts. So you have him plus Pivetta plus Dylan Cease. You Darvish is back. You have the frontline pitching, the depth of the lineup, and now a great bullpen. You have it all.
I really like it. Like I do. Like sometimes I get caught up in the Padres of what they can be.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Just more and more smoke, leading to the fire that is Keegan Bradley being on this team as a player.
Yeah, I think we're all expecting it at this point. And, Keegan, he knows he can't play poorly in the playoffs. Like, he knows he needs to keep momentum going. And if he continues to play well, he's going to be on this team.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back. It is In-Game Live Game Day here on the grid. Hour number 2, Scott and Gabe until 10 p.m. Eastern time. We got baseball, a little WNBA. We got 3 late WNBA games actually starting at 10 o'clock, which is kind of weird Eastern time. So we'll get into those here in a little bit. We got a couple late games. Let me go over the scores here, games that are in progress, some blowouts, some close ones, and we got a couple finals that are already in the bag as well. Giants about to win, I would think, leading 8-1, heading to the bottom of the 9th in Pittsburgh. You got the Astros 7-3 over the Marlins, bottom of the 8th inning. Maybe the Marlins coming back down to earth here just a tad here after sweeping the Yankees over the weekend. Twinkie says 6-1 over Chris Paddock and the Detroit Tigers. That's a hunch play that we had on Detroit, thinking, all right, Paddock facing his former team, the Twins, for the first time. In fact, he ripped the Twins organization, saying how much better it is in Detroit, and they lit him up early. So 6-1 Minnesota as they played bottom of the 8th inning. That one, you want to grab Detroit maybe a plus 4.5. Thinking they're going to come back a little bit with 2 at-bats left at minus 102. You want to play, if you need to play a little something, that might not be a bad little play. Give me the Tigers plus the 4.5. A's all over the Nationals 12-3. They play bottom 7, and that's basically unbettable. But I tell you what, Nationals are an over team. If I told you the number 1 over team over the last 3 weeks, I don't know how many guesses you would need before you would land on the Washington Nationals. But the Nationals they give up a ton, and they actually score a bunch of runs. Nationals over the last 40-plus games, how about 30, 11, and 1 over, including 22-8, and now make it 1 more, because obviously this game went over. So 31-11, 20 more overs than unders in Washington National games. Go figure, right? Top of the ninth, Philadelphia trying to close out Baltimore 5-0. That's all but over. Let's get to some of the better games. How about the Red Sox batting in the bottom of the seventh inning, leading 3-2 over Kansas City. They got the bases loaded to the Bo Sox, but 2 outs. They just tacked on a couple of more runs. How about that? 5-2. They were part of the PP tonight. You had 3 teams for public parlays. You had Boston laying 2 and change with Crochet on the hill. You had Toronto laying 2 and change with Barrios on the hill. And then you had the, who was the third team? The Seattle Mariners with Woo on the hill. Milwaukee didn't fall into that category, but to me, I don't know why the Brewers were only minus 145 favorites, Gabe. To me, the way they're playing and the way the Braves are playing, I would have made them close to 2-1. I know they're on the road, but gee, with Peralta on the hill too. Peralta on the hill. 5-1 Milwaukee leads the Atlanta Braves. Anything on the board right now strike your fancy that you want to play?
More than a fair price for the Milwaukee Brewers tonight, as you stated. A smoking hot baseball team. Blue Jays just get out of the inning, so it's still 2-0 right now. No, in-game, Scott, I'm not really feeling it. I've got my eye. You know what? I'm happy that I hit the Paige Becker's player prop in the WNBA. I'm happy that I set myself up now. I've got the Dodgers, although I'm a little worried about the Mariners. They're talking about how well the White Sox have been playing, but I'm kind of in WNBA mode. And, you know, like you said, we got a bunch of games coming up here tonight. And looking at the board here, guys, you have the Sun and the Mercury. The Sun, guys, are giving up 87 points a game. That's 11th in a 13-team league. So they're giving up, and the Mercury score 83.4 a game, Scott. And the Mercury have been a good team this year. They're the 6th highest scoring team in the association. I think it's a manageable number tonight for the total. I like you, stayed away from the total of the Dallas and the New York game. These New York games are generally going under the number, but I think these late games are going to have some points scored. And, you know, yesterday this total was 165.5, 166.5, and the market knew it's 169.5 right now. 169.5 right now. I still think it gets there, but we've lost the value from the opening number. And similar situation, Scott. How about Indiana and the LA Sparks? Anybody that bets this game, and more people bet the WNBA than they ever have before. How many people, Scott, are saying they want to bet the under of this game? Right? Of the Fever and the spread. If you're the odds maker, yeah, you almost know it. I mean, if they put 181.5, would probably still bet the over, right? Dude, some of these Sparks games are getting into the 200, Scott. Remember last week they played Seattle, it was 108, 106. They got to 214 points. Like, the Sparks are pushing the envelope, and even without Caitlin Clark, guys, the Fever are winning games without Caitlin Clark. So, you know, they're going to be dangerous when they finally get her back because they're finally becoming a team without her, but they score as well. Looking at the numbers here, so the Sparks, guys, 8-1 to the over in their last 9 basketball games. The Fever, 5-0 straight up and against the spread in their last 5. Sparks 6-1 straight up, 5-2 ATS last 7. So they're both hot here. One thing for me, Scott, I don't know what your opinion is, catching my eye about this, is the Indiana Fever, this is their 3rd straight road game, right? They've been on the West Coast. They've been bouncing around. This is their 3rd straight road game, and they've won every one of them. I think it catches up to them. The Sparks have caught a spark at home, so to speak, right? They got drilled in Vegas, Scott, but they bounced back and went on the road and beat Seattle after. Like, this team is showing a resiliency and getting better as the year goes on. I'm looking forward to this game tonight, as well as the Dodger-Cardinal game, but I'm looking forward to seeing how this plays out tonight. But give me the Sparks plus the 1.5, and the total is same thing, climbed up. We put these trends together yesterday, Scott, and the numbers. I thought the games were last night, like yesterday at one point. I'm like, all right, what's in the WNBA? Because they're already up on the board. And I was like, God damn, it's Tuesday. And now we've lost, you know, you see the points have gone up. And then that last one, Minnesota and Seattle, every team, Scott, I'm sure you have a team in the WNBA that just screws you no matter what you do with them. Yep. That's a Seattle Storm to me. Like, you know what I mean? You know, I thought they were going to beat LA last week, and they lost, right? Like, whenever Seattle seeming like, oh, they're at home, they definitely should win this game, they don't. And then they'll surprise you and win on the road. Like, they're all over the place, this Seattle team. And you get Minnesota, who's just better than they are, but it's a real toss-up of a game here. My feeling is the total is just too light. We're talking about these other totals in the high 170s, Scott. You got a 156.5 here right now. That's just that's a low number. Minnesota's an over team. Seattle's an under team.
Yeah, I'll start from the top. I'll start with the Connecticut one. This is probably the least of the one I like. I'm going to take a flyer on getting 15 points with Connecticut, Gabe. They're awful on it. Listen, they're awful at home. They're 5-22. So you could come up with a lot of numbers when you're 5-22. It's like talking like the Colorado Rockies, right? You can come up with a gazillion stats to say you suck. Bottom line is you stink, right? So they're 1-11 straight up on the road, but they're 6-5-1 against the spread on the road. So they're not losing by like 20 points getting blown out. They've been somewhat competitive. They're 7-2 against the spread their last 9 games, albeit all but the 2 at home. But those 2 on the road, they did cover. So they're competitive. One of the better players for Phoenix, Sabali, is out indefinitely for personal reasons. Who knows what's going on there, right? So I just think Connecticut went toe-to-toe with the Liberty this past weekend. In fact, they won the first game, and they didn't get blown out. In the second game, they covered that one as well. So I think they cover the 15. So I'll take a little flyer on Connecticut. Minnesota, this is a tough one, right? A smart gambler would probably stay away, but who's a smart gambler, right? I'm going to take Seattle because, remember, no Nafisa Collier, maybe the best player in the WNBA. She got hurt last game, twisted her ankle. She's not playing. They also made a trade in which they needed to trade 2 players away to bring a new player in. So now you got 4 players. That's kind of like a swing. So this is not the 24-6 Minnesota team that we've seen this year. So I think we're going to have some points in this one as well, and I like Seattle. We'll get to the other game when we come back.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
15.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
welcome back. It is In-Game Live Game Day here on the Grid. Scott and Gabe, hour number 2 with some good news. Threw out a little flyer. Nothing crazy, we said, but if you want to take a little flyer on that Detroit game, I said grabbing the Tigers plus the 4.5. Wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, and they actually put 2 runs on the board. So, barring an offensive explosion by the Twinkies in the top of the 9th inning, that 4.5 is going to be a winner because it's now 6-3 with the Tigers still batting bottom of the 8th inning with a runner on third base, pitching change for Minnesota. So nice little winner there. And the A's tacked on 3 more runs. It's now 16-3. Oakland / the Athletics over the Nationals. And the Red Sox tacked on 3 more. It's now 6-2 Boston over Kansas City. So somewhat of the PP looks like that's going to be a winner, although I don't want to jinx it. So let's bring in our next guest to talk a little baseball with our good buddy, SportsGrid Radio TV host you see and hear all the time, Tom Vecchio, to the program. What's going on, Tom? How are you tonight?
I'm doing good. I had the Giants on the first 5. That came through. Nice. And then I'm on the a pairing Red Sox, Blue Jays, both money line. So Red Sox looking good. Blue Jays, they just got the home run when we're commercial break. I fully expect them to win this game.
Yeah.
Eric Lucas goes deep. So solo shot. It's always a concern, though, guys, when a team scores 1 million runs, right? Can they follow up? What's going to happen the next night? It's almost like the baseball gods strike teams down. But it's a good thing they got that. Even a solo shot, just sort of get the dugout going a little bit. They got their home run jacket out. Keep them in this baseball game. And God bless it. It's almost every baseball game, guys, there's somebody with an Expos hat in the stands. And I always have to acknowledge it. There's a dude in Colorado right now. He had an Expo hat on. He said, I got the helmet behind me here. Long live the Expos.
So what I would say about what I would say about the Blue Jays tonight is I do like them tonight. They're obviously significantly better than the Rockies. The concern I do have with them is the fact that it is in Colorado and just the nature of the pitching environment does present higher variance overall. So even if the Rockies are bad, but they could still score 10 runs just because of the park itself. So I have confidence in the Blue Jays. They'll win today. They'll get it done, but it's good to see them get that run on the board.
I was going to say, when I went to Fenway Park last year, there's a whole bunch of stores, Yawkey Way there, that sell memorabilia stuff. And I'm telling you, Gabe, there was a whole wall in one of the stores. That was a big store, but still, there was a whole wall of Montreal Expos stuff. Shirts,
wild,
caps, T-shirts. It's amazing. The Expos haven't been around in 30 years, right? It's been 30 years.
I remember years ago, actually, leaving Studio 34, and there's a sports shop like near Times Square. There's a bunch of them, but there was a sports store. And there's all this Yankee stuff and Met stuff. And same thing, Scott. I was blown away. I'm in the store and I look up, and in the back there's a wall. Andre Dawson, Tim Raines, Gary Carter, Expos.
The market for that. Like I have a Whalers shirt. I have a North Star shirt. That kind of memorabilia is great to have. Dude, there's a market for it.
They sell more now than they were around. Right?
Yeah.
Like basically, if the Expos sold as much gear as they do now, they'd still be.
They'd still be in Montreal.
It'd be one of those type of deals. Yeah.
Totally.
Like rappers wearing them in video, Scott, and stuff. Guys, you didn't support them when they were around, but now y'all want to wear their jerseys. But okay, it is what it is.
Now it's cool to wear this stuff, when we needed you, buying this stuff. So, all right, a couple games here, Tom, that are squaring off in a little bit. Tampa Bay, we'll start with the Devil Dogs and the Angels. We mentioned it before. Tampa Bay 1-11 last 12 road games. They seemingly have given up on the season. Angels kind of in the periphery. Both teams really in the periphery, just being there but not being officially out. Basically pick them, which I'm a little surprised. Soriano on the hill for the Angels, -122 on FanDuel. 8.5 is your total. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't mind taking the Rays at +1. I know they've been terrible. I don't think Soriano's a great pitcher. Now, he has an extremely low fly ball rate. We're talking like 16%. It's phenomenally low. But he also couples that with a walk rate that's over 10% and his BABIP, which is batting average of balls in play, that's over 300. So, sometimes he can cruise through 6 innings just because he induces a ton of ground balls. And if he does let hitters on base, he can get out of trouble quickly, get these double plays. But if that's on the bad side of things, it's like walk, single, double, walk, single, double. He doesn't give up home runs. But all of a sudden you're like, wait, he gave up 7 runs and there's 5 7 hits and 5 runs on the board just because he pitches to contact and he's not good at missing bats. So I don't mind the Rays at plus money. They still have good hitters in their lineup. Their team isn't good, but they have good hitters.
Mm-hmm. I'm just watching. I'm corner of my eye. I'm stunned. I'm seeing a sacrifice bunt. Wow! In a game in which Minnesota is leading by 6-3. I mean, it's a smart baseball. Get as many runs as you can. I'm just like stunned. First and second, no one out, and they're bunting. How about that? Old school. See, you're talking about Montreal Expos brings back old school baseball. Yeah, that's what I mean. And they're winning. And by 3, not just
you
one.
Surprised me. When you said sacrifice bunt, that's somewhat rare to see nowadays, but I was even more surprised to hear. I was going to say it's got to be from a National League game, right? You know what I mean? Like, if it was, I wouldn't be surprised you told me, the Reds, Francona just sack bunt someone over or something like that. Yeah, but I'm saying American League. Wow. You know what crazy, though? The Blue Jays did it last week, and the Blue Jays are like an anti-small ball team, although they've been better at it this year. But they actually did it. I don't know if it was in the extra innings. I think it was. They actually bunted someone over to third, and they ended up striking out twice after. And you know what's funny, Tom, because I'm sort of that part of me, old school baseball. Let's just get the effing run in somehow.
Yeah.
Right.
You're taking a fish out of water, though, when you ask these guys to do something like this. It's like, listen, we just need you to hit it to the right side of the field. Can you do this? No, I can't. We just need you to hit it to the outfield. If you don't tell them we need you to do anything and just let them go up there and swing, they'll hit it. It's like you mess with them like when you do this almost. I almost understand the modern GM not wanting to do this now.
Yeah, it's super situational for me. Like extra innings, you have the runner on second. I'm fine with we just got to move them over, and then whoever comes up, just you just got to hit the ball. It doesn't matter how you hit it. There's one out and runner on third. Just get the ball out.
Yeah.
But even when you ask someone to bunt, guys, look, it turns into an effing production, right? They pop out. It turns into a big production. It's like, you know what? We should have just not even asked them to do this.
Yeah. Because the guys get so ticked off that they're supposed to bunt, and then they can't. And then I got a few more games, late games. We'll get Tom's look on those when we come back here in the grid.
Just more and more smoke, leading to the fire that is Keegan Bradley being on this team as a player.
Yeah, I think we're all expecting it at this point. And, Keegan, he knows he can't play poorly in the playoffs. Like, he knows he needs to keep momentum going. And if he continues to play well, he's going to be on this team.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Christopher Sanchez of the Philadelphia Phillies is one of 3 Major League Baseball pitchers to have a 7-start span featuring an undefeated record, a sub-1.5 ERA, 50 or more innings pitched, 50 or more strikeouts, fewer than 5 walks, no more than 1 home run allowed.
Fantasy sports today, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
One big problem for NBC, too many on-air cooks for the coverage, particularly on the weekends. Having 4 on-air teams separate time, divide the time, was really outrageous. You had Mike Tirico and his partner. You had Dan Hicks, NBC Sports' lead golf commentator, and his partner. You had Steve Sams from Golf Channel and his
everyone. Welcome back in Game Live. Game Day here on the grid. Scott and Gabe chatting with Sports Grid host Tom Vecchia. A little baseball action here. Needing some runs. Rockies got 2 on the board now, leading Toronto 2-1, bottom of the third. Still nothing out of the Yanks and Rangers, top 5. So that over-under is down to 4.5. And Reds lead the Cubbies 1-0 as they play bottom of the 5th. Atlanta had the bases loaded against the Brewers in the bottom of the 6th. They did not score, so it's still 5-1 Brewers as they move down to the top of the 7th. And the Mets trailing again 3-2, Tom. But before we get to the games that have yet to begin, if the Mets were to lose this when they're in the top of the 9th, now this would be, 6 out of 7 they've lost? And a lot of those at home against a bad Giant team and against a mediocre Cleveland team. Where's the alarm meter for you with the New York Mets these days?
For the Mets, I would say it's got to be a 4 or 5 out of 10, especially the fact that they got great bullpen help at the deadline, but they didn't go out and they didn't get any starting pitching. And the issues that they have were either last night with starting pitching or, it comes down to the bats. Like, their bats have been highly inconsistent. And, I have 2 futures, I guess, that involve the Mets. And then I placed this preseason. It's the Dodgers to beat the Mets in the NLCS and the Mets to beat the Dodgers. That was kind of the chalk that we're getting after. Soto signs with the Mets, obviously, all the moves that the Dodgers made. So, I do want the Mets to do well because I have a future on them theoretically to go to the NLCS, but they need to get the bats going at a consistent rate because the bullpen can save them. But if the starting pitching doesn't pitch well enough to get them to the 6th inning with only 2 or 3 runs given up, then they got nothing.
I like where you're going with that. I would only replace the Mets with the Phillies. And I know there's still a lot of baseball left, but it's hard not to like this Philly team right now in the National League.
It really is. And this is the Dodgers, I would say the price on them right now just to take them outright is crazy at 135 or 140, whatever it is. So that's why I like finding these direct outcomes of you can get multiple pieces of Dodgers to beat the Cubs, Dodgers to beat the Phillies, whatever it might be. And as long as you make the math work and you keep your unit size consistent, you can still come out net positive depending on how many of these permutations that you want. So this is what I like doing when we have such a heavy favorite. You have to find different routes to do it. And then once we get to the series, you could be like, okay, Dodgers or whatever your team is, 4-1, 4-2, direct outcome, because you're not going to lay minus 800 or wherever they are.
I like where you're going with that. And the thing is with the Dodgers, too, okay, you're getting this low number, plus 135 or something, Tom. The fact is, let's say they play the Phillies in the playoffs, they'll be minus 125 favorites. You almost get the same damn price.
Easily.
There won't be that much of a difference to win one series at the time. But I was going to ask you, from the American League, because I've been thinking about this, and the American League's kind of wide open. I like the Seattle team. They've never made it to the World Series before. On paper, they have what it takes. You look at the American League, wouldn't you agree, Tom? On paper, the Mariners have what it takes. They actually just have to go out there and do it. But if I had to pick a World Series, I would say Dodgers, Mariners, or Phillies, Mariners right now.
Okay, so I've always been a believer in the Mariners because of their pitching staff, where you line up their top 3 pitchers with Gilbert, George Kirby, and Brian Wu. That's as good of a 3-man rotation that you could possibly find. And you could say that Screwball is the best pitcher in the American League, is the best pitcher in the league maybe overall, but Flaherty's had an okay to kind of bad season. They go out and get Charlie Morton, so there's no other American League team that you can really say stacks up against them. Sure, Hunter Brown and Framber Valdez could be a good one too for Houston, but I don't see another team that can really compete with the Mariners. And it solely for me with the Mariners, it comes down to the path, because playing the wild card, that extra round, then have to go through Houston, even to get to Detroit or the Yankees or vice versa, whatever the combination is, that is a tough path to get through. So I think they can do it, but if they could win the West, that is just so much better for them.
Like any of these late games, anyone stand out for you?
Yeah, I like the Padres. They are just significantly better than the Diamondbacks, and I think it's a very fair price on them. I always like good teams coming off of losses. I know Darvish hasn't had the best season. Obviously, he started very late. The most recent game they had, we should not take that as a sign of things to come. But the Diamondbacks lineup is significantly weaker without Suarez and Naylor, and we get a good price on them. And the Diamondbacks bullpen is terrible. So you give me a fair price on a team that is just bad in a bad lineup. Ryan Nelson is not that amazing of a pitcher, and we have a terrible bullpen. Padres bounce back and they come through the win.
That's going to happen as long as we get 4 runs out of Arizona. I'm going with the over Arizona's
totally
Black Cloud play of the day. So a little 7-4 loss, perfectly fine with that, Tom. Perfectly fine.
Works for me.
Good job. Yeah, works for all of us, right? Good job, Tom. No doubt we'll do it again soon, and good luck with the plays tonight.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Tom Vecchio here on the grid. Coming up, Loud Esmond joins us next for some winners from him when we return.
They're in a decent spot. They actually had a really great quarter this past quarter, and they're crediting what they're calling a smarter approach to sports betting and player quality, not just being lucky and being on the winning side of more bets. Of course, the past 2 quarters have been really bad for sports books, which just got hammered in the NFL playoffs, and then that continued into March Madness. But it looks like Q2 is shaping up to be much better for them.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Want to hear a crazy stat, guys, with this Pittsburgh Pirate team? I brought this up yesterday. Out of 106 games, they have been involved in 27 shutouts, 13-4, 14 against. Over 1 out of every 4 Pittsburgh Pirate games ends in a shutout. How crazy is that?
Total is 8 tonight.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
It was already pretty solid up top, but you had the bottom that's that much better with Ryan O'Hearn and Lariano. Like, we now have a well-rounded lineup on top of a great pitching staff. Michael King is expected to start making his rehab starts. So you have him plus Pavetta plus Dylan Cease. You Darvish is back. You have the frontline pitching, the depth in the lineup, and now a great bullpen. You have it all.
I really like it. Like I do. Like sometimes I get caught up in the Padres because of what they can be.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Just more and more smoke, leading to the fire that is Keegan Bradley being on this team as a player.
Yeah, I think we're all expecting it at this point. And, Keegan, he knows he can't play poorly in the playoffs. Like, he knows he needs to keep momentum going. And if he continues to play well, he's going to be on this team.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back. It is in-game live game day here on the grid. Good news before we go to our next guest, as Varsho with a 2-run homer for the Blue Jays. It's not Bichette or Vlad Guerrero, but we'll take it because we do have Toronto in all our PP public parlays. So 3-2 Toronto now leading Colorado as they play in the 4th inning. The numbers now, it's crazy. Well, minus 290. It's not as bad as I thought it would be. So Toronto minus 290, Rockies plus 215. And I think the 11.5 runs, you got 5 already in the bottom of the 4th. This thing is not slowing down. I do like the over in that one as well. So, and the Cubbies just tied up the Reds 1-1 as they play bottom of the 5th. And the Yanks still no score with Texas bottom 5, looking for a first run there. So put the baseball aside for a second. We got preseason football on Thursday. Let's welcome in Loud Esmond. HitThePick.com is the website to find all his plays. HitThePick.com. What's going on, Loud? How are you tonight, bud?
I'm good, guys. I went 2-0. I had the over and I had the Chargers in the Hall of Fame game. 2-0 starting on the season. So maybe I should just stop. I'd be 100% on the season. But no, we'll roll on. Thursday
Nobody
night
ever does.
No
one ever does. Yeah.
It's always amazing that whenever if you're in a sports book on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon around 4 or 5 o'clock or right in between there's 2 groups of the people. There are the people that are cashing their tickets who swore that if they won, they wouldn't roll it into the night, and they're cashing their ticket and rolling it into the next bet, and everybody else running to the ATM. All right, so Thursday night kicks off preseason in earnest. I got a couple of parlay bets I like for Thursday night and this weekend. Got some Friday night action, but let me nerd out for a minute on some numbers. So in the last 4 NFL seasons, the average number of points scored in a regular season NFL game has landed between 44 and 46 points. The average over-under number was 42.3. By the way, trivia question answer. What was the lowest ever NFL regular season game over-under number? Anybody?
I'd say about 20. I'd say about 27.
I'd say
32 points.
32 and a half.
32 points.
Ever?
And that was, ever. Falcons Saints, September 1979. I remember this game because I was 6 years old and I was already drinking whiskey, smoking cigars, and betting on sports. Irish family, so you know how it is. Anyway, the point is preseason scoring is a lot lower and over-under numbers are a lot lower, set to reflect this. So this weekend, your average over-under number is 33.5 to 35.5. So what that means is points are worth almost twice as much in the preseason when you're looking at point spreads and when you're looking at over-under numbers than they are in the regular season. Point differential per game is usually much closer. NFL regular season, 23% of the games are decided by a margin of 3 points or less. 46% of the games, 7 points or less, and the other 31% over 7. But the higher you go, the lower the percentage. Okay, so how do we use this information? So I'm taking 3 teams that are dogs and getting some points in this weekend in preseason. 49ers +6, Dolphins +3, Buccaneers +3. I'm going to put them in a 3-team teaser, give them each 7 points. Now you get the 49ers +13, Dolphins +10, and Buccaneers +10. And keep in mind, the over-under number in the highest of these games is 35.5. So the chance that they're not going to be within 10 to 13 points is pretty slim. And the odds you get on that parlay is 600 or 6 to 1. So a $100 bet would return you around $700 on that parlay. Any questions?
I don't think it would be 6 to 1, would it, in a 3-team tease?
Yeah, that's what I put in earlier today, and that's what I got. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But in any case, there's going to be good odds on that, much better than betting those teams individually. And then let me go on to the other parlay that I've got, which is Colts, Bengals, Raiders. They're all better than 2-1 favorites. I hate laying points in the preseason because the games are, again, usually low scoring and points are at a premium. So at -220 or more, the bet isn't attractive to me on any individual team. So let's look at what happens if we bundle them together. Take the Colts and the Bengals 2-team parlay, and that would give you even odds, about 100 to 100 or -110. If you bet $100, -1 get back 190 if you took the Colts and the Bengals. And then if you add the Raiders to that, and these are all the Thursday night games, Colts and Raiders on Thursday night, that takes the odds, if you take all those teams, up to almost +200. So you could bet $100 and win 300 if you went with a parlay of Colts, Bengals, and Raiders on Thursday night on the money line. Because, again, I don't like laying points preseason if I can avoid it. Because, again, the point differentials are so much closer.
Right, but you're not winning loud $300. You're winning $200, and they're giving you your $100 bet back.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's 1 + 188.
Not always great at math, but I know what I'm saying in terms of
Cosmetically,
Yeah.
Listen, I know what you mean. I think teasers come into play. Not every book accepts preseason teasers. But if they do, I think there are situational spots. But there are blowouts in the preseason. Hell, we saw in a Hall of Fame game. It was just an absolute blowout. And it's, situational spots this weekend, right? The Seattle Seahawks have announced that they're not playing any of their starters against the Raiders. And then you compound the fact, Wetzel, you've got Pete Carroll, and it's a preseason game.
He's 28-20 in the preseason, and he hates losing, and it's his whole team.
Yeah, and Pete Carroll gets fired up every day just getting out of bed, let alone to a team that fired him, kind of unceremoniously too. Like he didn't see it coming. It wasn't like it was some gracious end there in Seattle. And I think it's going to compound into the season for Seattle, actually, how McDonald handles this preseason. And the Ravens are normally the preseason darlings of the National Football League. right? You know, they literally the 23, 24 games in a row, but that bubble has burst a little bit. And you know, you have the Colts as
give you a stat on
the Colts are big favorites because, well, forget the stats. You know, it matters who the players are that are playing. The reason the Colts are these big favorites are Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones are both going to play. Like they have a legitimate quarterback battle going on there.
Harbaugh is 0-7 against the spread in his last 7 preseason games, and I think they've lost 5 straight. So somehow after 2023, he completely stopped trying to win preseason games.
Yeah, they bumped the lines up too on some of those. I didn't realize he'd lost all those, but I know, like, you know, normally a preseason game is 3-4 points, and then everyone started talking about Harbaugh being this, you know, ATS machine in the preseason. Now all of a sudden, all his lines were like 6 and 7, and I remember there were a couple of games where I bet him, and he would go for 2, and they would lose rather than kick the extra point and get the push. So. You're right about that. Those numbers, Gabe, have come down a little bit, and wow, they definitely have. So I like the Raiders thinking. I will say that, you know, with Pete Carroll, you know, because maybe, just maybe, instead of calling off the dogs in the fourth quarter, this guy decides he wants to tack on a few more points. So I don't mind laying the 4.5, albeit on the road with him. I like that one.
By the way, my thinking on the Bengals. Zach Taylor is 3-12 in the preseason with the Bengals, and they have started slow every year because he doesn't play anybody. I think he's going to reverse his thinking and try to win preseason games and play more starters and more people on the bubble.
Yeah. Not bad. It's interesting. Interesting, you know, going against the world champs. We'll see what they call off the dogs and really take it real easy like you think they would.
I wouldn't be playing Burrow. But they actually talked about it. But they, as Loud said, it's actually on the table that Burrow will play against Philadelphia a little bit.
Wow. Loud, great job. HitThePick.com is the website. Check out his plays. HitThePick.com.
They're in a decent spot. They actually had a really great quarter this past quarter, and they're crediting what they're calling a smarter approach to sports betting and player quality, not just being, you know, lucky and being on the winning side of more bets. Of course, the past 2 quarters have been really bad for sports books, which just got hammered in the NFL playoffs, and then that continued into March Madness. But it looks like Q2 is shaping up to be much better for them.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Want to hear a crazy stat, guys, with this Pittsburgh Pirate team? I brought this up yesterday. Out of 106 games, they have been involved in 27 shutouts, 13-4, 14 against. Over 1 out of every 4 Pittsburgh Pirate games ends in a shutout. How crazy is that?
Total is 8 tonight.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
It was already pretty solid up top, but you had the bottom that's that much better with Ryan O'Hearn and Lariano. Like, we now have a well-rounded lineup on top of a great pitching staff. Michael King is expected to start making his rehab starts. So you have him plus Pavetta plus Dylan Cease. You Darvish is back. You have the frontline pitching, the depth in the lineup, and now a great bullpen. You have it all.
I really like it. Like I do. Like sometimes I get caught up in the Padres because of what they can be.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Just more and more smoke, you know, leading to the fire that is Keegan Bradley being on this team as a player.
Yeah, I think we're all expecting it at this point. And, you know, Keegan, he knows he can't play poorly in the playoffs. Like, he knows he needs to keep momentum going. And if he continues to play well, he's going to be on this team.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live. Game Day here on the grid. Thanks again, Loud Esmond. Check out his picks. Hitthepick.com. I like Loud. I do. I known him for a little while, but I don't know if he said anything that was correct in those last 5 minutes. I mean, I hate to break it to him. I really like.
Yeah, his math wasn't adding up on a couple of occasions.
It just wasn't. All right, well, we'll start. The lowest over-under, I know it wasn't 32, 30. I know I've seen one lower than that, right? If you just go to, the computer, little Google it, there's a bunch of games in the upper 20s, 28 back in 1993, so not even that long ago. So it's not 32.
Scott, this is factual. Dan Quinn hates the preseason.
Yeah.
He always has. Once again, we could talk. It's 6-18 against the spread, 7-17 against straight up, 7-17 straight up. There's a couple of coaches like Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin, Scott, the guy just wins all the time. Like he's 40-27 in the preseason in his career. Right? Wow. Like, it went 0-3 last year. They went 3-0 2 years in a row, and then they went 0-3 last year. Actually, Sean McDermott and the Buffalo Bills guys. And I'm a Bills fan, and for many years, the Bills really did not care about the preseason. Like, they really, you know what I mean? Like, they went through the motions. You look at the last few years, though, 4-0, 3-0, 2-1, 2-1, 1-2. Adds up to 12-4, Scott, last four years for the Buffalo Bills in the preseason. They've actually been a pretty good preseason team. John Harbaugh, 45-16. We talked about that epic run that he went on. The bubble has burst. They are 2-4 straight up the last 2 years. So they went 1-2, 1-2 in the preseason. And that's why now you see the Indianapolis Colts. But there's always a reason why the point spread is what it is, guys. And like the Colts have a real quarterback battle going on with Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones. They want Richardson to win it. But Jones is the type of guy, Scott, that always looks good in practice, right? And impresses the coaches until he's in a game, and then he frustrates them. So we'll see how this plays out. But my guess is if AR is healthy, he'll end up being the guy. But, I still don't want to lay 4.5 points with those two, to be honest with you, in the preseason.
I was going to say, Gabe, you said it. Like, you do get a lot of blowouts. Like, I wouldn't fool around with teasers. And I like teasers. I wouldn't fool around with teasers in preseason games. I mean, in a regular season game,
Scott, it happens all the time, bro. One team shows up, the other team doesn't, and it's 23-3, bro. Like, all the time.
Yeah. And there's no, by the way, touchdown. There's no not ever giving up. You know, you're down 17 points. That's it. Regular season game, that team has all the starters in there. No defensive, defense. Let the guy. No, they're all playing normal defense. Yeah, it's. I tell you got a lot of big point spreads too. Normally these are around 3. Most of these games are pick 'em, but you got a bunch of 5.5s. You got some 6.5s on there. I like playing the preseason. I wouldn't go crazy with it, but you find the angles. I like the Pete Carroll angle, against Seattle. Even though
you know what? Up
game.
to 4.5 though, Scott. It was 2.5 earlier in the day. I know I do a daily podcast, right? I was talking about this. It was 2.5. McDonald did a press conference in the late afternoon, Scott, today, and out here in the Pacific Northwest. So later in the day, he did a press conference and he spelled out his preseason strategy. And can we take it? Can we take advantage of it now anymore? I don't know. It's up to 4.5, guys. I will say this. We can talk about the preseason, but you can learn a lot about a team and what's going to happen in the regular season through the preseason. And my deal with this is, Scott, so you have the Seattle Seahawks. McDonald takes over last year, and you saw he got rid of everybody, right? Geno Smith, you're gone. Metcalf, you're gone. Lockett, you're gone. Like he wanted his guys, right? He wanted to start over. So he starts over, brings in Sam Darnold. All right, you got Jackson Smith and the Jigba. You bring in Cooper Kupp. You've got a bunch of young players, offensive linemen, and he's acting like they're the Kansas City Chiefs or something. Like Mahomes will play more. Like he spelled out, he said, none of our starters are going to play against the Raiders. He said they'll play a little bit in the second game, and then they won't play at all in the third game against the Packers. So in other words, what? Sam Darnold's going to play 2 series in the preseason? And then you're going to start them against the San Francisco 49ers in week 1. And they are, say what you will about the Niners. And I think they're overrated, a little bit old and injury prone, Scott, but they'll be good to go early in the season, bro. Like they'll be good to go in week 1.
They'll be all
and they're not rebuilding. Yeah, they're not rebuilding either. Like, you got to get Sam Darnold reps. I understand you don't want to get him hurt, but I just don't like teams that act and suddenly show up. Those are the teams, Scott, that then complain. Well, we didn't get a lot of reps in the preseason. Give us a couple of weeks in the regular season. No, that's what you had camp in the preseason for. So it really, and Carroll and the Raiders are a hungry team in the preseason, right? They're going to want to win this football game, but it's up to 4.5. But I will tell you, I do like the Niners now, Scott, to beat the Seahawks in week 1 in Seattle.
All right. I'd buy that. And this is preseason is the one where you really, really, if you do your research and take a couple of minutes and go to some, on YouTube or wherever, you Google a local newspaper, and find out, these head coaches, they tell you, Gabe, they give the whole philosophy, we're not going to play our guys. We don't care. We know who our starting quarterback's going to be. We don't want guys to get hurt. And when you know that philosophy going into a game, that gives you a little bit of an edge in the preseason game, more and so also, than the regular season game.
And you're right, Scott. Some coaches will be very honest with the media and the local beat guys about what their approach is. Yet, Scott, if you see a guy is cagey about things in the preseason, that shows that he cares a little bit. You know what I mean? It's like, no, I'm not tipping my hand. Like the Colts coming into this. No, we're not. Like, they released their depth chart, and it said starting quarterback, Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson. Like it said undecided. Like they're playing games like it's the playoffs, Scott. Who's the starting pitcher? Oh, we're not going to tell you. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, hey, guys, like, what I'm saying? You're being a little bit overly dramatic here, but fine. But they got this little battle going on, right? So they want to play it out like that.
That's kind of funny. You look at some of these lines, and it's like that they would never be the case in a regular season. Like Baltimore at home as a 5.5-point underdog to the Indianapolis Colts.
Let me ask you, Scott. Are you going to buy in? Now, Shedeur Sanders, you're going to buy into the hype. Friday night, they're getting 6.5 points. Shedeur Sanders starts. And he's going to play a lot because they don't have any other quarterbacks.
They don't. You know what? I'm rooting for the kid. I really am. I know he's a prima donna and all that, but I just, for some reason, I'm rooting for the poor kid. Our college football over-under when we come back.
They're in a decent spot. They actually had a really great quarter this past quarter, and they're crediting what they're calling a smarter approach to sports betting and player quality, not just being lucky and being on the winning side of more bets. Of course, the past 2 quarters have been really bad for sports books, which just got hammered in the NFL playoffs, and then that continued into March Madness, but it looks like Q2 is shaping up to be much better for them.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
You want to hear a crazy stat, guys, with this Pittsburgh Pirate team? I brought this up yesterday. Out of 106 games, they have been involved in 27 shutouts, 13-4, 14 against. Over 1 out of every 4 Pittsburgh Pirate games ends in a shutout. How crazy is that?
Total is 8 tonight.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
It was already pretty solid up top, but you had the bottom that's that much better with Ryan O'Hearn and Lariano. Like, we now have a well-rounded lineup on top of a great pitching staff. Michael King is expected to start making his rehab starts. So you have him plus Pavetta plus Dylan Cease. Darvish is back. You have the frontline pitching, the depth in the lineup, and now a great bullpen. You have it all.
I really like it. Like I do. Like sometimes I get caught up in the Padres of what they can be.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Just more and more smoke, leading to the fire that is Keegan Bradley being on this team as a player.
Yeah, I think we're all expecting it at this point. And, Keegan, he knows he can't play poorly in the playoffs. Like, he knows he needs to keep momentum going. And if he continues to play well, he's going to be on this team.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
welcome back in Game Live. Game Day here on the Grid. Scott and Gabe wrapping up another fast 2 hours here. Since we're talking football, Gabe, we opened the door last night with Kent State over 1.5. I got another one for you that I really, really like. That's the Indiana Hoosiers. Their over-under on FanDuel right now is 8.5. And I know everyone, they wrote 9.5, but it should be 8.5. I know everyone thinks they have an easy schedule, and they do to a certain extent, certainly to start the year. But after that, they got Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, and Indiana State. All right, so they're going to be 3-0, right? Then they got a very good Illinois team that's got 18 starters returning. At Iowa, I don't think they're winning. At Oregon, they're definitely not winning. Maybe they split out of Michigan State, UCLA at home. Maybe even they win 2. Then they got to play at Maryland, which, they're not winning at Penn State. I don't think they're beating Wisconsin. And maybe they get a split out of Wisconsin and Purdue. I added up and it gets to 7 wins. I'll give them the first 3. I think they lose to Illinois. I think they lose to Iowa and Oregon. I'll give them Michigan State and UCLA at home. That's 5. I think they lose to Penn State. I think they lose to Maryland. And they would still have to beat Wisconsin and Purdue, and that's still only 7. I can't find the formula, Gabe, where they're coming up with 9 wins with this schedule. So I love the under 8.5.
I'm not running anywhere to bet the over with the Hoosiers. They had a great year last year. They did lose their quarterback, who was a damn good quarterback. Yeah, we've seen those. Signati's a great coach, and the system, it seems to be a system. So we'll give him credit for that. For me, Scott, it comes down to that Iowa game, right? And I think Iowa's funny. Iowa's total is 7.5. And, all they do is actually win 8-9 games every year, this team. No one ever talks about them. Everyone talks about how bad their offense is, but all they do is actually win games. But to me, that's the one, because I don't think much of Maryland. I think Indiana could go on the road and beat Maryland. They'll probably beat UCLA and Indiana. They won't beat Penn State. Wisconsin, I think, are kind of going in the wrong direction. Purdue blow. So to me, Scott, I see, they're either 8-4 or 9-3, this football team to me. Right? I don't think it's a 10-win team. I don't think it's a playoff team this year. But I think you and I talked about how sharp these college totals are. And it comes down to, can they steal this road game? Or they have to win every game that they're supposed to win when you bet these college totals. And, you got to sort of steal one along the way and hope that you don't blow one. But to me, there's always that key circle game that'll dictate whether it goes over or under. I think that Iowa game, Scott, is pretty massive early in the season, September the 27th.
Yeah.
Offense versus defense too, right?
Right. You said it with Iowa. Iowa's one of only, I think it's 5 teams that have won 8 games or more over the last 6 years. It's amazing. The other ones are all the big boys, the Ohio States and the Georgias and the Alabamas. Little Mark Lawrence special I saw in his preview book. So I don't think they're beating Iowa at Oregon or at Penn State, which means they would have to run the table against everybody else. And, it's one thing from being the hunter. Now you go to the huntee. You're not a surprise team. No one's doubting you anymore. And Signetti, I'll give him all the credit, but he brought his kids over from, where was it, Coastal Carolina or Liberty? One of the schools. One of the
James Madison.
James Madison, right. So he brought all those kids over, including the quarterback. This is the year he's got to show he can recruit. Maybe he can. But, he won with a great James Madison team at Indiana. Let me see him do it again the next year.
It happened, Scott.
7 wins.
Damn, we should have bet the home run. He hit the warning track at his first at-bat. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. goes deep. He hits the home run.
Nice.
So he hit the total base drop, but he hits the home run. And at least a little bit of a cushion insurance for the Jays now. It's only 4-2. Right, this game slowed down a little bit, but it's 4-2 for the run line players, minus 1.5, 4-2 right now. But just quickly, Scott, as far as Iowa, their win total is 7.5 this year. Last 10 years, 9-1 to over 7.5.
Yeah,
you want to talk about a model of consistency, right? They win football games.
Yeah, if they ever got themselves a quarterback game.
I'm almost thinking it's like a video game. Bo Bichette just went deep, 5-2.
Wow, the big boys are coming through.
Oh, sorry, it's Barger, not Bichette. My bad, it's Barger. All these guys with the Jays all have the same haircut. They all look the same. But,
so we got 3 home
Barger.
3 home runs out of the Jays, get only 5 runs. It's going to be one of those nights, I think.
Wow.
They're going to end up with 7 home runs and win 9-2. And the game is going to go under by half. So, Gabe, great job team. As always. Yeah, they are. They really are. Gabe and I will be back tomorrow right here on SportsGrid. Enjoy your night, folks.